In today's video, we're going to talk about what it takes to maintain and operate a laser cutter, working on a very regular basis. This is a Glowforge Pro, and we're going to be talking about some of the specifics to this particular laser cutter, but I do think that some of the things that you'll see here will apply generally to a lot of different laser cutters. Now, I've had this machine for about 8 months, and I use it on a daily basis, both for personal projects and for business projects. I cut mostly acrylic and wood. Now, if you were to read the Glowforge marketing materials, you might think that all you have to do is take it out of the box, set it up in under 20 minutes, and then there's this nice flashing little button right here. You press that, and the laser takes care of everything for you. Well, it's not quite that simple. And in today's video, we're going to go through all of the things that you need to do so that when you're working with your laser, you don't always end up with projects that look great on one side, but maybe don't cut all the way through on the other, despite what you believe to be the exact same settings that were working the day before. Getting consistent results from your laser cutting takes a little bit of maintenance, but it is something that you can learn to do. And in this video, we're going to go over the steps that I've learned to do on a regular basis to keep my laser operating in its best condition. Now let's start with the absolute basics. And honestly, you may end up wanting to buy stock in a company that manufactures lens wipes. You're definitely going to want to buy them in bulk because this is the most regular maintenance item that you're going to need to do. You simply take out a lens wipe and you're going to have to apply it in several different locations. And this I find when I'm cutting wood in particular, you need to do every few hours. Let's take a look at all the places that you need to clean with your lens wipe. And one of the most important ones is this camera at the top. Make sure that I get that. This detaches, and these two little circles here need to be cleaned on a regular basis, as does the lens, which you can take out with the tool that came with your Glowforge. There are two more spots that you need to get. The first one is on the side of your laser, which you need to clean off right here. But the one that's really hidden is in the back down here. The laser comes across here and comes out of the beam on the lens on the inside here into this particular one and then out through your laser. So let me show you how to get to that. Soot builds up all over the laser, and while you have it open, it's also a good time, I find, to give it a little bit of a clean. To do that, I use Windex and a paper towel. I just spray it into the places that the soot builds up, and I wipe it down. Go gently when cleaning the area with this little white strip that leads to the camera, as it is possible to pull that strip out of its holders and disconnect the camera. Cleaning the metal track regularly keeps the laser from skipping as it moves in a horizontal direction. These next two areas you don't have to do with every cleaning, but you can see how much buildup collects here on this pass-through tray in the front. Pull the laser forward and you can get to the back of the tray as well. You want to clean both the back of the laser as well as the two tracks that the laser rolls along when it cuts in a vertical direction. And don't forget to clean the top of the laser case. It's actually more important than you might think. There are 3 fans on the Glowforge, each of which is very important to keep operational and well maintained in order to get the best performance out of your laser cutter. The easiest one to access is this one in the very back of the Glowforge itself. And you're probably familiar with this one. It's where the exhaust comes off. Now, what you may not know is that there's actually a radiator system inside the Glowforge on this side. And the air that's blowing out and taking all the fumes out as you're making your cut also operates as a way of cooling down your laser. So if this fan gets blocked up at all, you may see problems with your laser overheating, and that's going to impact how efficient you can be with the laser because it will have to pause all the time. So keeping this clean and clear is very important. I usually do that with just a little screwdriver or a little brush. I clean out the back if there's any buildup on it, and then I use a shop vacuum to suck out anything I've knocked loose. The second fan is a small one on the back of the laser focus casing. The purpose of this fan is to cool the casing down itself, and it can get some buildup as well, so I use the little screwdriver and just knock out any of the soot that may have built up inside of that. To get to the third fan, we're going to need to remove the tray. The third fan is attached to this unit to which the laser attaches, and it's all the way in the back here. This is called the air assist fan, and it's super important. What the air assist fan does is it blows air across where the laser is coming down, and it does its best to keep flames from happening on the wood or other material that you're cutting. When you have flames, you end up with more smoke. The smoke can affect the quality of the laser getting all the way through, and it can hurt your piece that you're working on as well. So it's important that we keep this fan clear. And now this is not a tip that I've found from anyone else, but something that I do quite often is that in order to keep this clear, I just take a screwdriver back here and I knock the soot that builds up out of this little vent that comes out from the fan. Doing this regularly will cut down on the number of times you have to clean the fan itself, but there will be times that you do have to do that. So let's see how to get to that fan. The sideways motion of the laser is controlled by a stepper motor that's sitting right here and turns this belt to which the laser is attached. In order to clean the fan in the back, we actually have to take this whole mechanism off, and that starts with the belt. Start on the right side by popping the belt off. It should then come off easily on the other side. Now, Glowforge would tell you that the way to take this off is to pull it forward and then down and pop it off the back again. I found that that's a very bad way of doing it because it breaks these little parts right here, and I've had to replace them several times. The better solution that I've found is to just remove these two parts using a hex screw and set them to the side. And it comes right off. And now you have access to the last fan, which you do need to keep clean. Like I said before, cleaning out this area beneath it will keep it so you don't have to do this nearly as often. But come in here with a brush or a screwdriver and clean out the soot that might build up. Then vacuum it out when you're done. When reattaching the mount for the laser casing focus, first make sure that the belt is between the two sets of casters, and then reattach it just by screwing back on the two sets of casters that you took off when you removed it. The belt on the right is a little bit more difficult to reattach, so start there. I use a little screwdriver to push it up in the front and then rotate it until it slips all the way around. The left side is attached in the same way but isn't nearly as tight. Once it's snapped on, test the mount to make sure that it moves smoothly. With everything tuned up, we can put the laser back together again by reinserting the tray and making sure it fits securely. The most common problems that I've seen after doing this maintenance is one that it says that the auto fan isn't spinning up to the correct speed. If that's the case, it means that your connections here, these 4 pins and the connections on this little circuit board that is attached to, isn't clean enough. You have to re-clean it and keep doing that until it says it's working. The other most common problem is that after you do this, it has a little bit of trouble figuring out where the laser is. The way that works on a Glowforge, when you start it up in the very beginning, this camera right here is looking for the very tip of this little logo on top of the laser. One way to help it is to make sure that this is clean and the lens is clean. But the other way to help it is to just set it up for it in the very beginning. So the way you can do that is just reach your hand under here with the lid almost closed. Find the position where that logo is just about over the laser and leave it right there when you start the laser for the first time. Those are the steps that I follow to maintain my laser cutter and keep it in its top condition so that it can operate on a daily basis. And whether you have a Glowforge Pro, are considering getting one, or have another kind of laser, I hope that some of the tips here were useful to you as well. If they were, consider subscribing to the channel. I don't always talk about the tools. More often I'm building something, and I have an interesting project coming up really soon here that's going to use this laser cutter in a way that maybe you haven't seen it used before. I hope to see you on that video or on a future video that I make. Until then, happy woodworking.